if you haven't yet joined us in this series, then welcome to you too. I'm really glad you're here. These classes, these sessions are open to any level of meditation practice. So if you're brand new to this, welcome. If you have an established practice, welcome. Thanks for joining. It's always a treat to practice in a group. So just to catch everyone up, in case you haven't been here, the last two sessions, we've done a couple different mindfulness practices, and these have been largely focused on sort of somatic awareness. When I say somatic, I mean the body. So we did mindfulness of the breathing body, just kind of watching our breath the first week. The second week, we were doing a practice that we call mindful sensitivity. So watching for sensations or feeling tones of unpleasantness and pleasantness and neutrality in our bodies and how we react. And this week, I thought we'd switch gears because some of us kind of learn and practice in different ways. And so I want to introduce you all to a practice that is also rooted in mindfulness, but is more using our power of visualization and imagination. This is a beautiful practice in which we visualize a mountain in our mind's eye or in the space in front of us, and all the processes that are happening kind of on, around, amidst the mountain throughout the cycle of a day. And then eventually, after kind of viewing this process, we then embody the energy of the mountain itself. And when we think of mountains, a couple of things that I think of are stability, strength, a sense of sort of knowing itself. Because despite whatever is happening on or around it with the animals, with the landscape, the weather, the seasons, the mountain just remains as it is. And when we then take in the qualities of a mountain then into our mind, it can help us feel a sense of stability, of sort of resilience, of being of the quality of something that can let things happen around it and amongst it and even move through it, but to maintain a quality of groundedness and stability. So this is just another way to practice mindfulness. And yeah, I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to practice, so I won't talk too much further. Just a couple of invitations for our practice today. The first and most important, you always have choice. So if I'm guiding into a space and you feel like uncomfortable or this isn't for me, that's no problem. You have the choice to just pause, and you might go back to some of the practices we've done. For example, just resting in the rhythm of your breath, or feeling the space around you, feeling those contact points between your body and whatever surface is supporting you. These are some spaces that you're welcome to return to at any time. Also, choose a posture that feels good. So sometimes in contemplative practice, when we're working more with the energy in our system, it can be more important to sit with like a straight enough spine, to be sitting up, to be sitting at all. But in these practices, we're not working in that space so much. So I want you to feel comfortable. That might be sitting for you. It might be lying down. It might be standing up. So just whatever feels comfortable. And then finally, you'll see, if you're watching the screen, you'll see my eyes close when I go into practice. That's what I do. You don't have to close your eyes. It can be a really nice way to quiet the mind, since most of the sort of sensory input to our brains is coming in through our visual field. But if that doesn't feel like an issue for you, you can just rest a soft gaze at some point in front of you, no problem. Or you can experiment with closing your eyes, whatever feels good. Okay, great. So I think we'll go ahead then and get started. I think this will be about 13 to 15 minutes. So go ahead and start to settle in. If you need a last sip of coffee or tea or water, just getting that. Choosing a posture that feels good. If you need to get a blanket or an extra layer, it is a cold, rainy day here in Boulder, so I'm all fleeced up. But yeah, just get what you need, and we'll start the practice with a bell. So allowing the bell, the sound of the bell, and the silence that follows to just welcome you into a space of rest, a space to relax, making any adjustments you need in your posture now to just be able to fully welcome your body and mind into this space of practice. If you can make yourself even 10% more comfortable, just go ahead and do that now. And then beginning to connect with your present moment experience through awareness of the contact points between your body and whatever surface is supporting you. That might feel like the bottoms of the feet, the backs of the legs, or the sits bones. Maybe some part of the back is supported. Maybe that feels good. Noticing the gentle rise and fall of your breathing body. So as you inhale, that gentle expansion, that sense of rising. And on each exhale, that sense of softening, falling away, and letting go. No need to change anything here. No need to make adjustments or try to control the breath, just letting it be as it is. Letting the mind just rest on the rhythm of the breath as we prepare to move into our practice of visualization for today. If it feels good, just doing a gentle body scan, noticing if there are points of tension coming up. I often feel these in my jaw, in the space between the eyebrows if I'm focusing. Sometimes there's this leaning forward in my torso. So just noticing for you where your body is almost contracting in a way to like get ready for the meditation, and see what it's like to soften that. And then in this space of connection with yourself and with this moment, however that's feeling for you right now, I invite you to shift your awareness to the center of the forehead, kind of that space that feels like the space where we project or imagine things, like the workspace of the mind. And from here, just kind of projecting your inner vision, your imagination outward to the space in front of you. And in this space, which could feel like the actual physical space right in front of you, or that imaginal space of the mind, no need to overcomplicate it. Just start to bring into your awareness the image of a mountain. It might be a mountain that you've seen before. It might be one from pictures. It might be one that your mind is just allowing itself to create. Noticing the landscape, the sort of structure of it. Is it sharp and jagged? Is it more of a rolling, gentle hill of a structure? And I invite you to just sense this mountain in that early sort of pre-dawn light. The light of the sun, perhaps just behind the mountain, giving it a bit of a glow. Maybe the very beginnings of the stirrings of life on the mountain, the wildlife, a few bird calls even, depending on where your mountain is. And then as the sun starts to rise, revealing itself from behind the mountain, you start to see more what the landscape is like. The critters, the animals that are emerging from sleep. Are there bodies of water? Are there lakes or streams or rivers running across the mountain? Are there trees? Is this a tropical space? Or is it winter? Is there snow on the mountain? Just allowing your mountain to emerge and really create itself as the light continues to brighten upon it. And also noticing, as everything emerges and comes to life, how the mountain itself, the very core of it, the structure, more or less remains the same, a foundation of support for all the life emerging from it. Breeze, winds begin to pick up as the sun gets higher over the mountain, kind of approaching midday, sweeping themselves, these winds across the landscape of the mountain, perhaps blowing in the trees, perhaps blowing the snow or dust across the mountain. Just noticing how the wind sweeps itself across the surface of the mountain, but the mountain itself is unmoved, stable, constant, has no issues with any change or shifts going on around it, how the elements might sort of affect the surface and the life upon the surface. It's just standing as a support. And the sun gets higher now, it's midday, noon. You might notice more of the wildlife kind of playing on the mountain. Maybe there's that midday lull. And as things maybe quiet down, even as the winds quiet, the mountain too is quiet, but no more or less quiet than it has been, even amidst the activity. It just remains as it is, without needing to change itself. And the afternoon progresses. And you start to notice clouds kind of rolling in, the rumbles of some thunder in the distance. And as they move closer and the sun disappears behind the clouds, it's clear maybe a storm is coming. Maybe the animals that were out go to take shelter. Maybe there are strikes of lightning or bolts of lightning in the clouds, just kind of lighting up the sky. And then the rains come, or the snow, if you're in a winter environment. The precipitation just releasing from the clouds, coming down into the mountains, streaming its way across any rivers or streams. The sound of rain on the lakes. Or perhaps the silence that comes with heavy snow, like a vacuum silence. Just noticing the precipitation, the release from the sky, the storm around it, and the mountain remaining strong and stable. Not because of any particular effort or force, but it's just the nature of the mountain to be as it is. All this activity, the disruption almost happening around it, which is really just nature itself, a part of the cycle of what the mountain experiences day in and day out, just allowing for it, having space for it, not having to be in conflict with it. And then we start to notice the light emerging again, the clouds starting to clear. It's a less strong light than before as we approach evening. Kind of the light waning toward dusk. The activity on the mountain maybe emerging a little bit after the storm, but just kind of everything taking care to do all it needs to do before settling in for the night. And then as darkness starts to fall, seeing the sun disappear again behind the mountain, things get quiet, the stars come out glittering in the sky. The mountain comes to rest, just as it was in the pre-dawn light. And having been through a full cycle of a day from sunrise, all the activity, and then coming to sunset as things quiet down, the mountain just remaining as it is in its true nature, stable, grounded, strong. And as you gaze upon the mountain, I invite you now to feel yourself as the mountain, opening your heart, opening your mind to the qualities of the mountain and how they might serve you. The qualities of stability, of calm, of grounding, a sense of knowing exactly what you are and being that, even amidst all the activity of daily life. Just allowing yourself to rest here in this space for about another minute. Holding on to that image of the mountain, allowing it to continue to be there if that serves you. And if it doesn't, no problem. Letting go of the image, but continuing to see what it's like to feel these qualities of the mountain in your own being. It's not a resistance to daily life. It's not a taking in of everything going on around you, but more of a resolve to remain with qualities of stability and groundedness in the mind, in your energy. What does it feel like to be the mountain? We'll take a few more moments here. And just knowing that even beyond this contained practice space, you can always return to the image, the feelings, the qualities of the mountain. If you still have the image in your mind of the mountain, just gently, lovingly letting that go, softening your focus, coming back to your breathing body in this moment, in whatever space you're in. If it feels good to seal your practice with a gesture, you might gently place hand at heart center, or give yourself a hug, or palms together at the forehead or heart. Anything that feels right for you in this moment. And then at the sound of the bell, coming back to our shared space. Good. So taking your time, stretching if you need to, giving yourself what you need. We have a few minutes for questions, reflections. You're welcome to type your question in the chat or ask it out loud. That's also totally fine. Or just any reflections on the practice itself. Next week, and if you've been joining every week, we've done 3 weeks now in mindfulness, and the second 3 weeks I'm going to focus on compassion, which is really the sort of the oomph in the practice. It's so helpful. So I'm looking forward to that shift.